Welcome, welcome. Barb Pask here, going to paint on an 8x10 Centurion linen panel. And look what we're doing tonight. We're doing a skull. Let me turn the light off so you can see it better. This is a coyote. I don't know that I've ever done a skull. I don't think so. I know it's a common theme for artists. I'll tell you, because what a great challenge. I mean, this is basically one color, just very subtle shifts in value. Let me look at it with the light on. Of course, it's harder for you to see. I always light my still lifes, as you know. I kind of almost like it with the light off better. It isn't like there are some highlights. Get my hand over there on the teeth with the light on. And I see the nice shadows on the back of the head. Let me turn it back off again, look at it one more time. Should have done this before we came on. Look how dark it is inside the mouth, and then the eye socket. Not near as much with the light. I'm wondering if I shift the light down even, then I get a little more. I know this is blown out for you. We'll try that, I think. Anyway, that's a coyote. It's so funny, I just went up to UDF and I had a few things in mind to buy for props and didn't have any luck at all. So this is what we're doing and I'm excited about it. Like I said, the challenge that I see is it's one color. So, it's about values. So I'm going to do something different. As you can see, I did not tone this as I have been doing with my bright colors. It doesn't mean I couldn't do that later. So what we're doing, we're going to work a little different instead of sketching it on. I almost think some water might work a little bit better this time. These are water mixable oils. So my plan is to get this wash on everywhere and then wipe into it and create our skull that way, and then apply paint. Yeah, surprisingly, I don't recall ever painting a skull. I feel like I tried most things, but my husband being a sportsman, he has all kinds of interesting things, duck calls and turkey calls, and I did do those ducks at one time. You can look back at that if you're interested. It's called a dead mount. I did 2 live ducks that were taxidermied. But I don't know if you're, opposed to that, but he eats everything he kills. He would never kill just for a trophy, never. And of course we'll be painting over everything again. But I thought this might be an interesting way to start. I haven't done this in a while. I had a good week. I painted out on Tuesday. We were scheduled to go to, the address we had was incorrect. I get a schedule for the summer, and it ended up being, instead of a half an hour, it took me an hour and 10 minutes to get to this place. But I knew it was a farm, so I'm glad I went. And they had goats and cows and chickens and barns. So it was sloppy wet, but a nice day. So I looked around and I set up to paint their one older barn. And it came out pretty well. I painted that, and we do critique afterwards, and you know, nobody had anything negative to say about it. And I got it home and put it on Facebook, and a gentleman that I know, kind of, he wanted to buy it, which is fabulous. Then the person whose farm I painted out reached out to me, and they wanted to buy it. So I painted it again. A lot of times in the past, I probably would have said, I'm so sorry it's sold, and maybe not done it again, but I thought I'll just paint it again. So she approved it today, so that's wonderful. You go out and do something you love, and then you sell it twice, huh? All right, let's look through our little, I'm looking through the view catcher. Going to try to get our skull. I'm going to pretty much, I think, fill the canvas. Well, let me look. I do like that shadow behind the skull, so we want to get that in. So the height up is about there. So we'll just, I'm not sure how well this will work. I'm going to just work on removing this. You know, it's not pure white, of course. It's kind of gray. Yeah, tell me below if you've done a skull before. Like I said, I know it's a common theme for artists, and lots of times human skull, you know, you see a lot of people do that. At least I'm not quite sure why I never have. I just if you've never started this way, it can be fun. I mean, you can start this way for anything. So if you're working in traditional oils, of course, you're going to be dipping into your solvent. I am working in water mixable oils, so I'm dipping into water, which is my solvent. So yeah, I've had a good week, and then I had a guy reach out to me tonight about a pet commission. I've done some for him before. I finally, after the first time ever, I finally raised my prices a tiny bit, just $10. I am reasonable, and anyway, I still am reasonable, but in all these years, I've never raised them, and as you know, if you paint, everything just gets higher and higher for us. Canvases and paints, and I still am probably, well, I watched a guy the other day I ran across him, he was demoing, and he wasn't in the United States, so his odd size, I guess you could compare it maybe to 11 by 14. That wasn't what it was a little different than that. But anyway, he was asking $300 for that. You know, I get $160 for 11 by 14, so I'm very affordable, I think. I do a lot of 6 by 6s, like just one pet for a headshot, and I've raised that to $75. I think I'm very reasonable, but I'm fairly quick at it, and I feel like I'm good at it. I'm pretty good at getting a likeness, so I'm a good value, huh? But if you're very slow and you're trying to get for your time, but that's not really the client's fault, is it? You know, if you just happen to be slow, again, that's not really their fault. I got this sitting on a box, and I got a shadow, like I said, kind of back behind it. And of course we'll have a shadow under it. So you know right away you've got a sketch that's similar in value and color to your skull. And I can take some of the color that I tone with and put my darks back in. So we're still kind of starting with a value sketch. Been raining like crazy here. This weekend's finally supposed to be pretty. I may get ambitious and go out and do some plein air, and if I do, I'll take my camera. So you can check for that, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting shape. This kind of hooks, got a little hook right there. But my job, like always, is to, even though it's pretty much one color, my job will be to explain it. Little nose area is a little darker too. You know, and trying to see if I have any here, but you can even take Q-tips. I don't have any here. But you can even take Q-tips and wipe out with that. Like this ridge up here. I wish I had some Q-tips. It's very light, that area. And this you know, and any paint that doesn't belong on here, I don't really want it on here, so I don't get into it. And of course he's got teeth. He's got a few other skulls too. A tiny little bird skull I noticed. He must have picked that up one time. Strange, huh? All right, let's think about when we look over there, what do we see color-wise? It's kind of, well, of course it's white, but it's kind of leans a little bit toward yellow. So I think I'm going to try some white and some yellow ochre to start. That might be my, I don't know how this is going to go. I'm going to do like always, and we're going to get 3 values going here. Something light. And I do have, you know, I do mostly have my darks in already. But, you know, I could do whatever I wanted with this. You know, I could make it interesting, and we might put some, I'm throwing around, putting a little cad red light in some of it. You know, and do whatever I want with it. We don't want it boring, right? Again, I don't know. This is a new experience for me. Now, do I want to use my little soft brush, or do I want to use one of my Rosemary's? They lean more toward a bristle. I've been using this little soft one an awful lot. All right, let's look for the values that are kind of mid-tone. And I'm going to try not to overwork it. Yeah, not a lot of variation of value, so I don't know. It'd be a good challenge, right? Again, tell me if this is something you've done before. Like I say, I know it's a common theme if you're in art school or in an atelier, or I've seen people doing them. I think he's like missing some of his teeth. I don't think he's got any. I don't know, I can't tell. Looks like he's missing teeth up in here. And I may have to come in and do some line work to explain things, right? I just don't know. Just like I said, this is new to me. I'm trying some different colors too. Like I've got some blue on my brush now. You know, just trying to make it a little more exciting. It may be too light there, we'll see. been watching some of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff. I don't know if you have or not. Boy, they were a mess. You know, I think they're both at fault. What a terrible marriage. You wonder why people would stay in that. But I think, you know, the little bit I've seen, I think she's a little more nuts than him, perhaps. Oh, I had jury duty yesterday, and I, can't say I wanted to do it. So my husband's a retired wildlife officer, and my daughter, I have 2 daughters. One works for the Attorney General in Ohio. She's an attorney. So, you know, sometimes they're not keen on having people that are involved or closely connected to people that are in law enforcement. But I don't know that they had a problem with that. So the prosecutor, he talked first for quite a while, and very nice, and you know, they try to kind of get to know you and feel you out, and he asked us all questions and looked at the paper we'd filled out and talked to me, you know, a little about my husband, a little about my daughter, and then the attorney for the guy that was being charged, he was being charged with domestic violence, and it was his second offense. So he was just asking a variety of questions. He asked everybody, and he'd come once in a while, he'd come to me. And then he said to me, there was a police officer sitting there who was going to testify, and maybe another one too that wasn't there. He said, made it sound like it. So he said to me, how do you feel about police officers? I said, I have a great respect for them. I think a lot of them. And he said, if a police officer testifies, he said, would you automatically believe him? And I said, I lean in that direction. So, I don't know, we asked a few more questions, and then the guy from the state let a woman go, and I'm not sure why he dismissed her. And then the attorney for the guy they were charging let me go. And I think it was probably because I said that I would tend to believe the cop. Well, I was being honest, so I got out of it. Didn't bother me. I came home and painted. I'm just playing around. Like I said, you know, there's not big differences in value any place. So we may have to go back, you know, and explain things a little bit better. It was just going to be a 2-day trial. I mean, I would have been fair and listened to all the evidence, but again, I wasn't sorry to leave. Those poor people in that Johnny Depp hearing, that thing I think has been going on 6 weeks. Boy, it'd be a lot to give up 6 weeks to sit through that, wouldn't it? This is the first time I've ever been called for, on all these years, never been called for jury duty. You know, this too was funny. When she checked me in, I was number 1. So what they do is they take, there was probably 40 of us there, and 12 of us, the ones that have numbers, go in the jury box, and I'm number 1. So their intention is, if those people are okay to use them. So I thought, I'm not getting out of this. Why would I get out of this? You know. That's how you get out, right? Well, I can't say I know what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to paint the shifts in value, and like I said, there's not a lot of variation in color. Not surprising. One of the things I thought about buying tonight at UDF was a donut. I thought about painting a donut. UDF, at least this UDF by me, their donuts are all square. They're not round, they're square. I find that strange. Must be an easier way for them to cut them or something. But I don't think it would look good in a painting. So I didn't buy a donut. So I think what we'll do, I mean, and I could have just quickly blocked this whole thing in, really in one color. I could have, because it's not that much different, you know. Trying to see what I see in the front there of his mouth. Huh, strange. Kind of seeing down inside there. And his teeth are whiter. They got some highlights on them. I've mentioned before, but on Fridays, Craig Nelson, you should find him on Facebook if you don't follow him. He does live demos every Friday. He's been doing them, I think, since the virus started, and he does an hour and a half, and he completes sometimes some pretty large paintings. I have a couple of his DVDs, and he's kind of known for something called Quick Studies. And I think they look really good, and according to him, he could spend days on them though, but I think sometimes you can spend too much time on a painting too. You know, sometimes for me, I can be really pleased with a painting in an hour and a half. I don't know, I think there's a freshness to it, and sometimes you can overwork them when you insist on going and going and going, you know. It's hard to see what I'm seeing. Gosh, he has some strange teeth. This almost looks like a double tooth, but trying to look for the areas that seem the brightest. Curves up. This may be purely for practice because I can't imagine anybody would want to own this, so. And the whole hole isn't dark in there. There is some light catching in there. The complete hole. Kind of trying to, look at the anatomy of him. And there's a shadow that goes out from there, and then the shadow back here. And there's a shadow that comes off. Gosh, it's strange. Kind of goes all the way over there. This will show up that area in the back by getting dark, next to it, because it's a darker value. Let me look at this shape here. I said, really, I don't know what we'll do about this shadow yet. I haven't decided, but it's weird. It runs off. It's the way I've got him lit, of course. And I've got him setting on a black cloth too. I just thought he'd show up better. The farm we went to, they support themselves by selling handmade soap, so I came home with more handmade soap. We had a good turnout though, like 20 people. Maybe not quite that many. It's a nice group of ladies. You know, he's setting on something and it's also black. So how do we handle that? You know, do we want to look a little bit different? A little bit darker maybe? Maybe. Comes into the skull about there. Yeah, I didn't do a light cloth on purpose, so, you know, of course, because the skull is light, I wanted it to stand out. You remember the 6 by 18 canvases I did? I found some frames for them from Frankenframe. That's a company I love out of Tennessee. And you can go on there. Sometimes they'll have clearance moldings, and you can look through those, and you know, and then the prices aren't too bad. So I think I ordered 6, so I got to get some more canvases. I'm out of the canvases, but I really enjoyed that panoramic kind of view. Sorry, knocking into things. We'll get this covered and then we'll take another look at the skull and see if it needs adjusted. I keep catching on something down there. And I'm not saying this is going to be a keeper or, you know, how exciting it is, you know. But I wanted the challenge of painting it, and again, trying to make it read correct. So. I miss a toned canvas, I can tell you that. I sure like the toned canvases I work on. Now, okay, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking this might be fun to suggest, you know, kind of a reflection. We've got all this space down here. So run it down, kind of like doing water. Water reflections go down. Trying to ground it a little more. I feel like I'd like to see that reflection a little more. This Tuesday we're painting, I'm not really sure, it's a modern house. I think it's the gardens that are supposed to be interesting. I've never been there, but you never know. You know, you got to look around. That's like the farm, you know. I thought, paint the barn. It wasn't, it was a gray barn. It wasn't like super exciting, but turned out good for me, you know. Like I said, I ended up selling it twice, so can't complain about that, right? That should dip down a little more. You know, I'm sure I could mess around with this for hours probably and get little tiny shifts of value, but I'm not going to do that, you know. Seeing if there's anything else that would make it read a little bit better. I'm not sure how well people would even understand a coyote skull. But again, the challenge with this is that it's, again, basically one color, so those tiny shifts in value, that's what you're going for. And I tried to make it kind of interesting. Some areas are more yellow, some are more blue. See if anything else catches my eye. You know, and I could have used my bristle brush and made him very painterly. All right, you know, and we could try to make the background more interesting if we wanted. This is Cad Red Light. I'm throwing a little bit of that in, maybe warm it up. And the reflections could be better, more, if we wanted, you know. Like I said, the shadow actually goes kind of up like that and off, but I kind of mirrored the shape of the skull. We'll kind of run it off like that. All right, we're going to quit. Took us about 50 minutes. Like I said, it's less about the skull, more about the practice, the exercise of painting something where the values don't shift a lot. All right, I don't think that's too bad. Show you the skull again. Guess I may have to turn the light off for you to see it. Wait a minute. And yeah, I'm looking down on it, so that's similar. So, all right, let me grab my mat and we'll mat it, and you can see it that way too. Put you up a little bit. I'm trying to remember this more often. I'm bad about that, as you know. This way. But it kind of, I think, kind of cleans it up, and there, you can kind of see a little bit better. Okay, hope you enjoyed watching. I enjoyed it. It was fun, just a good challenge. Like I said, I got a little bird skull. Maybe we'll do it sometime. Let me know if you like this kind of thing. Good night.